All right, now we come to example one, and this is where hopefully things come a bit more solidified in your brain. So if everything I've said up to now hasn't made any sense, I reckon now it will start making sense. So let's read this question and see what we can do with it. It says, a particular breed of bird has a 4-year lifespan. The Leslie matrix, which models the population growth, and an initial state matrix are given. Okay, the very first thing I want you to do is I want you to come here and I want you to write age above it. And this is for my 0-year-olds, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this bird has a 4-year lifespan. It starts at 0, right? So your 0 year of life. So from 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3. So 0, 1, 2, 3. That's how you get in 4 there, because you're starting at your 0th year. All right, so once we've done that now and we understand that, we now need to say, okay, how is my Leslie matrix made up? Well, we know that we have 2 components of our Leslie matrix. We have the birth rate up the top. Whoop, let's keep the colors the same as before. This right here, I'm going to highlight it and I'm going to put an arrow. This is giving me my birth rate. So if a question asks me, what does this number mean? We know that what that number means is, on average, 2-year-old female birds are giving birth to 1.2 female birds. Remember, you don't have to memorize that. You just have to come up here, and I may have said it a little bit differently, but the gist would have been the same. You could have said something like this. F of 2 is the average number of females born to each 2-year-old female. So if you ever got a SAC or an exam question, I would be referring back to these if it asked you to interpret certain elements there. Okay, let's now look here. What are these giving me? This is giving me my survival rate. So if I was to take 0.5, this is telling me that on average, 50% of 1-year-olds make it to 2-year-olds. And again, you don't need to memorize that. You can just look up here and say P1 is the average survival rate of females that are 1-year-old. Now, that P1 would be there. You just have to make sure that you're finding the right one and subbing it in. Don't just blindly copy this. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. And then we have S of 0 here. Let me just highlight it so you can see what I'm referring to. This thing right here, S of 0. S of 0 is just our initial state matrix. So it's telling us at the very beginning what is the population of each age group. So that we have 230 0-year-olds, 610 1-year-olds, 450 2-year-olds, 320 3 to 4-year-olds. That's the ranges there. Okay. First question. How do you know that this species of bird doesn't breed until they're 1-year-old? So how do we know that this species of bird doesn't breed till they're 1-year-old? Well, we know that because that right there, L1 of 1 is 0. So I'm going to write L1 of 1 is 0, meaning a female 0-year-old bird is not fertile, not having kids, whatever you want. Next, draw a life cycle diagram conveying the information from the Leslie matrix. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go 0, 1, 2, 3, put lines, put lines, put lines, and then put lines back like this. Okay, 0 to 1, and remember, I'm looking, if I just get rid of that, 0 to 1, I'm looking here, 0.6, 0.5 would go there, 0.1 would go there. So this is always true. These numbers are my green ones. And then I go, but this one right here, this is how many 1-year-old, this would be 1.4, 1.4, and then this would be 1.2, and then this would be 0.3. So these right here are my blue numbers, my fertility, my birth rate. We go on to the next one. It says, let me grab my highlighter out, always good to highlight. Find the number of 2-year-old female birds in the population that are after 1 year. So find the number of 2-year-old female birds in the population after 1 year. So what we're going to do to answer this is we know that the initial year, so at year 0, this is how many of each bird. So the amount of 2-year-olds we would have in this case would be 450. So what we want to figure out is after 1 year has passed, how many 2-year-olds do we now have? So we want to figure out what S of 1 is going to be. To do that, we take Leslie, our Leslie matrix, so this right here, and we times it by S of 0, this right here. And when we do that, what do we get out? So if I come over here, look at this, I've already typed it in, one I prepared earlier. So Leslie, there's my initial state, I times them together, and I'm going to get, when I do that, over here, 1490, 1380, 305, 45, 0, 1, 2, 3. I'm looking at my 2-year-olds. So that means I have 305 female 2-year-olds. Next question. It says, find the total number of birds in the population after 4 years. Now, we've actually left something out of this question that Edrollo does have. So when Edrollo asks these questions, they add something in. So I want you to add this in for me. Assuming females are 40% of the population. Because now, as you can see, this question isn't just asking how many females are in the population, it's asking what's the total population. Well, if you want to figure out the total population, you therefore need to know what percentage of that population is made up of females. So that's why the question has to specify it. And Edrollo does specify it. And I'm sure other textbooks do as well. So if we want to figure this out, it says find the total number of birds in the population after 4 years. That means we want to find S of 4. Now, to do this, guess what? We can just take our Leslie matrix and raise it to the power of 4 and then times it by S of 0. So if I come over here now, take this, hit enter, then come over there, raises the power of 4. Oh, actually, sorry. Why is that wrong? That's wrong because I did not take... Oh, no, sorry, that's right. I thought that wasn't S of 0. That is S of 0. Ignore me. All right. I'm going to get 1019.538, 806.13, 171.81, 44.7. All right, if I now wanted to figure out the total females, what I would do is I would add all of these numbers up, and I'm just going to round them. So that this first one here, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. The total amount of 0-year-olds I have is 1019.5, so that rounds up to 1020. That's 806, that's 172, and that's 45. And when I add all of those together, I get 2043 females. Whoa, what happened there? Females. And now, I'm not done yet, because now I need to find the total. So if I know that this represents 40% of the total population, okay? That's 40% of the total population. How can I find what the total population is? Well, this is where we're going to use our solve on the calculator. We know that 40% of the total, so I'm going to write T for total, is 2043. I could now solve this. I could put it into my CAS and go, well, let's solve 0.4 times T is equal to 2043, comma T. And that's going to tell me that my total is going to be 5108. And again, just to show you this on the CAS, menu 0.4 times by X is equal to 2043. Did not type that in right. Comma X. And we go boop. And as you can see, I've rounded there. So I've rounded it up. And that's it. Hopefully that made sense. That is Leslie. Leslie matrices are weird. You can now do all of 7G. Enjoy.